All right, gather round everyone because I've got a story for you tonight. This isn't one of those campfire tales designed to just give you a quick scare. This is something deeper, something that happened to a man named Alistair Finch on his very last night as a park ranger in the misty heart of Washington's Olympic National Park. After 30 years of service, this was his final patrol, his last goodbye to the forest that had been his life's work. The night started like any other. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, a perfume Alistair knew better than his own aftershave. The fog, a signature of the Pacific Northwest, was rolling in, swallowing the ancient Douglas firs and turning the familiar landscape into a maze of shadows. He was driving his old, reliable truck down a gravel service road, the tires crunching a familiar rhythm. He wasn't sad, not really. It was more a feeling of contentment, a quiet satisfaction. He'd done his job, protected this wilderness, and now it was time to rest. He'd heard all the stories, of course. For 3 decades, he'd listened to wide-eyed hikers and campers whispering about strange howls in the night, of giant, unexplainable footprints found in the mud, of fleeting glimpses of a massive, hairy figure moving through the trees. He'd always just smiled, nodded, and filed the reports. He was a man of science, of observable facts. He believed in bears, cougars, and the tricks light can play in the dense woods. He didn't believe in monsters. As he neared the old-growth sector, a place where the trees were giants that had stood since before the first settlers, his truck's radio crackled to life, then died with a hiss of static. He tapped it a few times. Nothing strange, but not unheard of in these remote parts. He decided to get out and stretch his legs to breathe in that foggy air one last time. He switched off the engine and the world fell silent. It was a profound, almost sacred silence, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of condensation falling from the ferns. That's when he felt it. Not a sound, but a feeling. The unmistakable sensation of being watched. Every instinct, honed by 30 years of living in the wild, screamed at him. The hairs on his arms stood on end. It wasn't the feeling of a predator like a cougar. This was different. It felt intelligent, aware. He slowly reached for the heavy-duty flashlight on his belt, its beam cutting a sharp cone through the thick fog. He swept it across the wall of trees lining the road. The light reflected off of wet leaves and glistening bark. Nothing. He took a few cautious steps, his boots making soft thuds on the damp ground. He called out, his voice sounding small in the vast quiet. "Hello? Anyone there?" This is a restricted area. Only the echo of his own voice answered. He told himself it was just the fog, the solitude of his last night playing tricks on him. He was about to turn back to his truck, to dismiss it as pre-retirement jitters when he saw them. 2 impressions in the soft earth just off the road, right at the edge of the tree line. They were huge. Far larger than any bear print he had ever seen, and distinctly bipedal. The shape was unmistakable. His heart started hammering against his ribs. This was real. This wasn't a story. He crouched down, his flashlight beam trembling slightly. He could see the clear outline of 5 toes and a defined heel. As he stared, a low sound rumbled through the air, so deep he felt it in his chest more than he heard it with his ears. It wasn't a growl of aggression, it was something else, something melancholic, almost like a sigh. Alistair stood up slowly, turning his flashlight back towards the impenetrable wall of green and grey. He knew he wasn't alone. He knew what was watching him from just beyond the reach of his light. He didn't feel fear anymore. Strangely, a sense of calm washed over him. He had spent his life protecting this forest, and in a way, this creature was the spirit of the forest itself, the ultimate secret it held. He lowered his flashlight, letting the beam point at the ground. It felt like the respectful thing to do. He spoke into the fog, his voice steady and soft. "I'm leaving now," he said. "I've been here a long time. It's been an honor." He stood there for a long moment in the quiet communion. Then, from the darkness, came a response. A single, clear sound. The sharp crack of a thick branch breaking, followed by the heavy, deliberate sound of something immense moving away deeper into the forest. It wasn't fleeing in panic. The steps were unhurried, powerful, and then they were gone, swallowed by the wilderness. Alistair didn't move for a full minute. He was letting the moment sink in, etching it into his memory. The forest had given him a farewell gift, a confirmation, a final, silent acknowledgement from its most mysterious inhabitant. He walked back to his truck, started the engine, and the radio crackled back to life with a burst of static and then clear dispatch chatter. Everything was normal again. As he drove away, he looked in his rearview mirror. The fog was as thick as ever, hiding its secrets once more. He didn't file a report. What would he write? Saw a legend say goodbye. Alistair never told anyone the full story of what happened on his last night. Not his wife, not his kids, not his colleagues who threw him a retirement party the next day. It was a secret he kept between himself and the forest. For him, it wasn't a monster encounter. It was a transfer of guardianship. It was the wilderness, in its own profound way, tipping its hat to him, a silent farewell from one old guardian to another. He had protected its home, and on his final night, it let him know that he, too, had been seen. And that, right there, is the magic of these vast, wild places. They hold mysteries we might never fully understand, and sometimes, if you're lucky, they grant you a single, breathtaking glimpse behind the curtain. Thanks so much for listening to Alistair's story with me. If you enjoy Tales from the Deep Woods and beyond, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you aren't to miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.